I made a huge mistake, and I will spend the rest of my life regretting my choices. Me, 33 female, and my husband, 37 male, married 11 years at the time this happened. We are currently 1 year out from the affair, and nearly 4 months since D-Day. Postpartum depression, coupled with the loss of my good job, administrative change, and my husband being out of work too. We were both hobbling together part-time work to make ends meet. We were stressed. Both felt unappreciated. He was drinking too much. My self-esteem was very low. I was also on an IUD, non-hormonal birth control. After having been on hormonal birth control for years, I came to find that the natural hormones of a 30-something woman are terrible. I had terrible PMS and mood swings. I also started to become physically aroused around other men. It all came to a head when a guy at work started showing me attention. I rationalized my choices. I felt like my husband didn't care about me anyway. I thought if I could find happiness elsewhere, because I wasn't getting it from him, then I could continue being a good wife and mother. I thought that it would be okay because I didn't love this guy. He could never be seen as a rival for my husband. I would never be tempted to leave my family for him. In spite of that, I became infatuated with the newness of it all. I felt like an addict. I made one stupid choice after another. My husband knew something was going on. He didn't know enough, but I knew that the game was up. I found another job in another state and convinced my husband to come with me. I knew that removing myself from my entanglements was the best thing for my family. Even then, months later, in a moment of weakness, I returned a message he sent me, sparking a day-long chat session. And then, finally it was over. Our last contact had been 6 months before D-Day. The move hadn't made everything better. I had a job I loved, but my husband had been out of work, depressed and stuck with the kids. He was drinking, still, and determined to be morose, mean, apathetic, you name it. I wondered if I had made a mistake in wanting to stay with him. When he became jealous that I had spoken to a friend, he asked me if I had been unfaithful, and I felt like I didn't have anything to lose by finally telling the truth. He left for a few days and then thankfully came back. I know it was for the kids. I don't care. I'm just so happy he did. We had a hell of a roller coaster those first 2 months. A lot of hysterical bonding, followed by screaming matches. I can honestly say I love my husband with all my heart and feel closer to him now than I have in years. I see now that at the time of the affair, I had little empathy for him. I couldn't see the hurt that I was causing. I feel it now. I have completely cut contact with the AP and others that my husband takes issues with. I am maintaining professional boundaries at my new job. I have opened up my phone records, and email to him. I started with a therapist, and we have an upcoming couples session. I am making every effort to be present and caring and understanding when he starts to ruminate on the past. Some days are worth staying for. Most days are average. Some days I feel like a verbal punching bag, especially after too much to drink. I can feel the contempt in his voice. He confided recently that he had dating app profiles and was chatting with other people. While I was out of town, he suggested that he wanted to meet up with someone. I was crushed. I want him to be happy. I want to be fair to him, but where will it end? He said he wants to be even and that I have no right to be upset because he is being honest. So is he entitled to the same number of times? 6 partners 1? 6 times with a different partner? How long will this drag on? Months, years, decades? Even then, I feel like he will say that it still isn't as bad, because he didn't lie to me like I did to him. I understand that I destroyed what we had, but I feel like all my efforts now are dismissed and minimalized. How can I be all in when he clearly has one step out of the door? He is insistent now that this needs to happen, and that I should be thankful that he is here at all. I'm just really confused. I've read several books and articles about recovering after affairs, and I haven't seen much advocating tit-for-tat cheating. Edit. It may not have been clear from the past. I couldn't write a novel. But my husband is a great man and father with a great heart. I feel like all these problems we had starting a few years ago were situational. He has now found full-time work in his field that has eased financial stress and is allowing him to stake hold in our new community. He feels better that he is doing what he loves and contributing to the household. He isn't drinking as much. In so many ways, things are getting better. This mess all started because I felt unwanted. I've always wanted him, and I still want to be the person he wants. I changed my phone number when we moved last May. I was relieved that I didn't have AP's number, and he didn't have mine. AP Facebook messaged me about 3 weeks after we moved. We chatted that day, and I sent him a pic. I didn't hear back from him, but I knew he had started dating a girl. I was furious with myself that I had gotten involved again. I messaged him never to text me again. About a week after D-Day, in December, my husband was talking about returning to our old town to try to find AP and kick his ass. I sent an email to AP from an old email account telling him that he might be expecting a visitor. I also asked that he not divulge any sexual details that my husband would find hurtful. That was the very last communication I had with AP. My husband found that email a few weeks later. That is the trickle truth he was talking about. AP and I have no relationship and haven't for close to a year now. I don't pine for him or wish him well. If anything, I feel sorry for him. The sex wasn't good at all. Then why, you ask? I guess because he made me feel better about myself, just by virtue of being a warm body that showed any interest at all in me, outside of capacity of cooking, cleaning, or wiping snotty toddler noses. I know I wasn't justified in cheating, but my affair didn't happen in a vacuum and come out of nowhere. There is a context in which these events took place. He and I were both drastically unhappy, and I do feel like it was a perfect storm. I was absolutely faithful and had eyes only for my husband for close to 13 years. We dated for 2 before getting married. I have spent a lot of time trying to understand why I allowed myself to go down this path, and I agree that it is ridiculous. I am ashamed that I behaved the way I did. I never thought that I was capable of lying to my husband. I was weak and I let my heart become hardened toward him. Comments. You don't see many people advocating tit-for-tat cheating because it is a huge mistake. That's the sort of thinking that a kid in elementary school would come up with to resolve a problem, to get even. Your husband needs help beyond the affair. As an aside, in your first couple of paragraphs, sounds like you're blaming outside forces for your cheating. Like, the hormones made me do it. Ridiculous. Look in the mirror. There's the reason you cheated. I know I couldn't stay with a significant other that cheated unless I got even. I know it's juvenile, immature, and hurtful. At least I am honest about that. Everybody is different, and I think some people here that say they wouldn't may not have been in his exact position. He may be like me. It's just something I couldn't get over unless I did that. Story 2. My 27 female boyfriend, 27 male, and I have been together for a little less than 3 years, and have lived together for 2. Recently, we both changed jobs, which has caused a lot of stress in our lives. Also, a lot of our friends have recently moved away because everyone is moving for their careers, or to go back to school, or to follow their relationships. This has led us to be pretty isolated, and most of our socializing has been just with each other. Then a few weeks ago, I commented to a post on Reddit, and bam, got a response from the user I responded to. I decided it was harmless enough, and why not waste a few minutes talking, so I respond. Like I said, I haven't had many friends near me, so it just felt like a quick, easy social outlet. Quickly, he and I just click. A few minutes of wasting time turns into a several-hour-long conversation. Our humor matches up perfectly. I tell him about my relationship not fulfilling me. He tells me about his marriage. Turns out he lives in a city where I have a ton of friends and visit regularly. A weird online friendship. Nothing too bizarre. Soon we were talking all day every day. I mean 12 to 16 hours a day, almost nonstop. He says he's never met anyone like me before, and our talks go from just talking about life to bordering on flirtatious. Eventually, after a week or so, we switched platforms because we wanted to show pictures of our pets to each other. But because we had the ability to send pictures, we share pictures of ourselves. And it's the worst case scenario. We both find each other very physically attractive. Borderline flirting turns into definitely flirting. Flirting has turned into something more. We've video called and showed more explicit things to each other. Of course, my boyfriend has no idea this is happening, and my heart is split. I love my boyfriend so much we are just having a rough spot due to life stress. But also I don't want to stop talking to this other guy. He's fun. He makes me feel things I haven't felt in a while. But he's married. It's not like I can chase these feelings and go to this other guy. I just don't know how to reconcile these opposing feelings. Edit. I just don't know how to feel. At the end of the day, this other guy is just that. The other guy. He's fun, but I don't love him and I won't. It's just hard to turn away when I see so many aspects of him that I wish my boyfriend had. He says that's the same for him. He sees all of these things he secretly wishes in his wife and me. I just don't know how to come back to my relationship after seeing that what I want is out there. I know there's no future with him. I never thought there was. As soon as things turned more towards flirting, I asked him, does he ever see himself with anyone but his wife? And he quickly said no. So it's not like he'd leave her for me. Especially when it's just online and it's only been a month or less. Honestly, if I told him, I can almost guarantee he'd stay with me. We'd go to couples therapy and get over it together. Not that this is going to gather me any favors on here, but I have made him into the man he is today. When we first met, he was in a dead-end job, depressed, overweight, unattractive. Since we've dated, I helped him build himself up. He's now in his dream job. His salary has over doubled since we started dating. He is happier than ever. He is more fit and attractive than ever. He knows that none of that would be possible without me. He always credits his growth to me, so a few weeks of me doing something I shouldn't won't be the end of the world. As long as I come back and don't do something outlandishly stupid. Comments. You're a bit in denial here. This isn't emotional cheating. You have an emotional, physical, and sexual attraction to this guy and you've indulged it all as far as you can online. You're having an affair, and he is cheating on his wife. I'm sure it's very sexy and satisfying for both of you. I'm sure it's exciting. But you do realize that literally anyone can feel a connection and seem perfectly matched for you when it's just an online fantasy. In real life, you're both unhappy people who are cheating on people you claim to love. Your relationship with this guy would likely implode quickly if brought into real life. Kind of hard to work through the rough spots when you are way too invested in another person. You have been neglecting your relationship for a married man. He is avoiding his relationship entertaining you, also in a relationship. Chances are if you put this much effort into each of your own relationship, then you wouldn't be feeling confused and making this post on Reddit. When is the last time you spent 12 to 16 hours a day making small talk or sending pics and flirted with your husband? Just imagine if your husband was doing this with another female. The thought of that should be enough to make you sick to your stomach.